Who are the guys you're zeroing in on tonight? You'll be sitting in the press box. You'll be taking your notes. There are certain things that you'll certainly want to see and have ideas about potentially doing articles on, and what stood out and who actually made a name for themselves. Who are at the top of your list? It is a Football Friday here on Birds 365. Well, every Friday's a Football Friday here on Birds 365. But what today is a game day Football Friday. We haven't been able to say that since last January. Seems like a long time ago when the Eagles got their tails kicked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But a new season is upon us. And my partner, John McMullen, is ready to take his bad knee down to the link today to watch the Eagles and the Jets in an exciting preseason tilt. McMullen, are you ready to limp on over?
Yeah, man. What could be more exciting than preseason football? I turned it on a little bit last night. Boy, Jody, I couldn't last 10 minutes. I was like, oh.
You didn't? You couldn't stick with the Giants and the Pats? Come on.
I couldn't. It's tough. But, it's Eagles, so it's more focused here, and people will be interested. But, yeah, it's a tough watch, NFL preseason. It's funny. The whole year, people psych themselves up for the first preseason game, and then that tends to be what happens. They go, oh, when is September, whatever. This year it's 11th for the Eagles, Detroit. But it's a necessary evil, and we'll get through it together here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel.
And what we need to do starting tonight, and 2 more preseason games and 2 all in practice, well, 4 actually, 2 with each of the Browns and the Dolphins, some joint practices, which if handled the same as they were last year, first year under coach Nick Sirianni, those could be pretty darn important as far as deciding what this roster is going to look like, how this team is going to be made up. We believe that the action tonight will also tell a bit of a tale for the Eagle players because, they'll use all 90 guys on the roster. Everybody's going to get a chance to play. This is a game where evaluation is as important as anything else because, yes, they do have to cut down to 53 players. So Johnny Mac will start there. Supposedly Jalen Hurts is going to play some. We don't know what that number actually is, a series or 2, or how many plays. If they go 3 and out both times, it's going to be a grand total of 6 plays, of which, he's going to hand off at least 3 times. So how much are we going to learn about the starting quarterback? Who knows? But we're going to see backup quarterbacks, backup players everywhere, guys who, yes, won't be on this roster when they go to Detroit on September 11th. Who are the guys you're zeroing in on tonight? You'll be sitting in the press box. You'll be taking your notes. There are certain things that you'll certainly want to see and have ideas about potentially doing articles on, and what stood out and who actually made a name for themselves. Who are at the top of your list?
Yeah, I did that for SI yesterday, and it was it starts with the obvious, and that's the rookies, and probably more so than any other Cam Jurgens because of the circumstance and Jason Kelce not being available. So number one, we kind of talked about yesterday on the show. I want to see how they handle it. Do they go the Jody McDonald route and just say, "All right, this is a starter. We gotta put them in bubble wrap with the other starters."
Yeah.
Or do they try to get them? Yeah, they try to get them prepared. So that's number one. I want to see how they handle Cam Jurgens, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. I think Jordan. Nakobe will probably play more than Jordan, I would think. So it starts with the rookies. And then, I want to see Reed Sinnett because he's at a good camp. And I think a lot of people, including myself, thought, that there was going to be a good chance that Carson Strong was going to be able to win that QB3 job. Well, I'll tell you what, if he is, he better be a game player and not a practice player because he's getting lapped in practice by Reed Sinnett. And if Reed just, it's his job to lose at this point. If he doesn't implode, he's going to be the 3rd quarterback on this team. So I want to see him. As I said, he's had a good camp. He's even been rewarded with a couple second team reps here and there. That's how well he's performed. And then there were some interesting tweaks in the defensive backfield over the past week. Josiah Scott getting cross trained at safety along with slot corner. So I want to see him. And the same thing with Andre Sachere being a little bit cross trained as a defensive back and special teams player playing safety, playing slot corner, more of their big nickel look. So I want to see those guys. And then the rest of the young corners. Now, Zach McPherson's going to be there, so I'm not as concerned about him. But it was interesting because when camp started, I was a little bit surprised. Mac McCain was the second team corner of Mac and McBain, opposite Zach McPherson. And I was a little surprised by that because there was more hype around Tate Gowan and Kerry Vincent. So Mac started the process ahead. Then he kind of banged up his knee, just like me. And he was out for a while. And then all of a sudden, here comes Kerry Vincent, and he's getting more reps outside. He plays inside as well. So versatility helps him. And then he got hurt with a groin. He might not even play today because he's been out of practice. And Mac is back. So how does that shake out? So Mac McCain, Tate Gowan, Kerry Vincent's probably not going to play, so that hurts him. So that backup corner spot is interesting to me. So those are some of the bigger name players, or not big name, but the rookies are the big names. But some of the lesser known players, I'm going to be looking at.
All right, couple follow-ups on the guys you've already run out there that you will be zeroed in on tonight. The backup D-backs, safety and corner. How much of what they show on special teams tonight, and no, they will evaluate every practice as they've had to this point, the dueling practices the next 2 weeks against the Browns and the Dolphins, but certainly on tape during an actual game should carry its own weight too. Of those DBs that, let's say, are all kind of grouped together and no one's really standing out, and that's why they're backup DBs to begin with, how much their ability on coverage teams, on special teams, is going to play into the decision as to who makes it and who's not?
Oh, I think a lot. That's one of the reasons I think Sachere is getting all this cross training and Scott, because they're both good gunners on the punt team, or at least the best gunners the Eagles have had. And so you try to, I always say, if you're a defensive coach and you want to bang the table for somebody and go into Howie Roseman, because ultimately it's Howie's decision, and Nick to a lesser degree, it's easy to say, look, this guy plays special teams. He can play nickel. He can play safety. It's easier to sort of sell that player. So you can see them trying to find spots for Josiah Scott and Andre Sachere. I think it's a clear indication that at least Jonathan Gannon and Denard Wilson, the secondary coach, want those guys on this team. Now, there's a lot of, other things that come into it. A promise. GMs are thinking about not only this year, but next year and sort of those 2 or 3 year windows. So if they think somebody like Josh Jobe, who was another guy, rookie corner from Alabama, undrafted guy, if they think he's got long-term potential, they have to sometimes think in a different way. So a lot of things come into it, but you can see the coaching staff is trying to make the case for guys like Sachere and Josiah Scott.
And sticking with the special teams motif, the law firm of Johnson, and Jackson, all guys who will be playing on the edge, be it either defensive end and or outside linebacker. The Eagles will show varying fronts and use the players differently throughout the preseason. And for whoever makes the season, somebody's got to be Hassan Reddick's number one backup when he comes off the field, which is hopefully not often, but every once in a while, or if he sustains an injury, somebody's got to be able to fill in. How do you judge what those guys have shown so far tonight? How important is the first preseason game for them?
Really important. I mean, those are arguably bubble players in the case of Patrick or Kyron Johnson. And maybe they're battling each other, to be honest. And I think Teron Jackson has done enough that I wouldn't put him in pen yet, but you could probably pencil him in and feel pretty comfortable. He's had a good camp, a young player. The Eagles like him. But yeah, I mean, if he craps the bed in the preseason, it's not going to help him. So, pencil's got an eraser. That's why you pencil people in. As far as, the backup to Hassan Reddick, look, if that were to happen, the Eagles don't really have a capable backup. I mean, you're never going to, I always say, if you lose Lane Johnson, it's nice to have Jack Driscoll, but Jack Driscoll ain't Lane Johnson. The same thing with Jason Kelce. It's nice to have a young kid who's got a lot of potential in Cam Jurgens, but he's not Jason Kelce, at least not yet. Same thing with Hassan Reddick. If the Eagles were to lose him, they probably have to play a different way. They're not going to just plug somebody in and say, do what Hassan Reddick does. So, then they're probably going to have to ship what they want to do on the front. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Johnson and Kyron Johnson. And the reason I default to Kyron is what we talked about before, special teams. He's supposed to be a really good special teams player at Kansas. But we got to see that. I mean, they never have live drills in special teams. You can't tell who's good on special teams. So that part of it's big in the preseason as well.
Right, because yes, everyone is tackling to the ground, which you don't get at practice at the NovaCare complex. All right, one more follow-up on something you mentioned earlier, and that's the quarterback position. Reed Snead has been significantly better than Carson Strong, not really even close, as you mentioned. He got some second-team reps. He may get some second-team reps tonight because of the way the quarterback play shakes out. Jalen Hurts will be off the field damn quickly. We know the mustache man, Gardner Minshew, will be in there second. But what if he doesn't get the job done tonight? What if he stinks? Let me start this way by asking a question. Who's had a better camp, Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew?
Jalen Hurts.
So Gardner Minshew has not played all that well.
No.
I know he walked into the coach's office after he beat the Jets in season last year and said, how can I become the starting quarterback of this team? The coach told him, not happening. He's been a starting quarterback in the league. He did win the game that he had to win in the regular season for the Eagles. Is it a lock that he's number two? If Reed Snead goes in tonight and throws 2 touchdown passes and goes 11 of 13 for 100 and change, and Gardner Minshew goes 5 of 12 for 42 yards, is there any battle for the second quarterback on this team this year?
No, I don't think so. I mean, okay. Gardner hasn't, the only thing that could change that is if somebody walked in tomorrow and gave the Eagles a second-round pick for Gardner Minshew. They might try to convince themselves, hey, Reed's looked pretty good. Reed might be ready. But that's not going to happen on either end. He hasn't been great in training camp. But I think the Eagles know what they have in Gardner Minshew. And, he's a good backup. And if you need him for 1 or 2 or 3 games, he's better than what a lot of teams have. But yeah, if you need to play him for a full season, the warts are going to show. But that's all you want of a backup. And I know maybe things are skewed here because of Nick Foles and what he did, but that's not common, people. That's why we're all like the season's over. It's not common. You can go back to Jeff Hostetler. It's happened in the past, but typically when you go to your second team quarterback, and I always give that Tom Moore quote because it's my favorite. It's my favorite quote. It is. And you're talking about Peyton Manning and practicing Jim Sorgi. And he said, if 18 gets hurt, we're bleeped, and we don't practice bleeped. And, if you're down to your second team quarterback, Gardner Minshew's as nice as you're going to have. I guess Kurt Warner would be the biggest example, but that was a lightning strike. And Dick Vermeil, who we love and is in the Hall of Fame now. Congratulations, Dick. I mean, and Dick's known to be a crier. He had a reason to cry when Trent Green went down because nobody thought Kurt Warner could play. And all of a sudden the lightning struck.
Doesn't happen often. You are correct. And if it happens this year and Gardner Minshew takes the Eagles to a Super Bowl, remember this day. Jody McDonald will be on Birds 365, blatantly apologizing for even asking the question, can Gardner Minshew be supplanted as the Eagles' backup quarterback by Reed Stinnett? If he does what he can do, which is a long shot, yeah, I'm going to have some crow to eat. But that's okay. Won't be the first time. We're digging in for you here on Birds 365, getting you ready for the first Eagle game of the year. Yeah, it's preseason. Yeah, you're going to need your roster in front of you. You got your roster. Do you laminate your roster, John McMullen?
I do not. Now, although I did enjoy years ago, the Eagles would, on like the first day of training camp, give like a laminated roster you can hang on like your lanyard for your credential. I did like those, but they're a waste of time because there's so much movement. The roster changes every stinking day.
On.
Yeah. So you can't do it every day. So
right. But you need one for tonight. You got to know all 90 players and all their numbers because guys will be going in and out all night long. And Johnny Mac will be there till the snap. I'll be in front of my TV till the last snap. But it is nice to get Eagles football back. We've got two very good Eagle Beat guests today. First up, it is a game day, so we got to bring game day Kratz into the mix. Johnny's running partner at SI, Eddie Kratz, will jump aboard. And then a little later in the show, our pal Chris Franklin from NJ.com will come in. It's an Eagles day here on Birds 365. So you got Eagle John McMullen, Eagle Eddie Kratz, Eagle Chris Franklin, all jumping aboard with me, Jody Mack, here on Birds 365.